Hi everyone, it is me, Rainbow Brite, Wisp here. And okay, now it gets all bright again. And today we're going to talk about, how I worked for God for 40 years, 41 years, need be's and longer than that. Well, first off, I was brought to a world. Well, one day, God and Jesus asked me if I wanted to be the new light bearer, the new morning star. Since we all know who was the first light bearer or the first morning star. And I said yes, I would do that. And I know a lot of folks say you should always think of what it is before you say yes to something. Put some thought into it. And I did. Well, God and Jesus sent me to a world which had lost light, it lost cast, it lost brightness. And there were all kinds of beings that lived on that world. And I befriended Twink, who and on our way we also happened to meet Starlight, who was frozen. But God and Jesus unfroze him. And then, well, it led us to a saga because we had to go through the no comeback waterway. And don't forget there was a bridge which Murky, Dismal, and Murky had to take down on the oversight of the King of Shadows, whoever he was. We'll say he's Lucifer, because that is one of his nicknames. So the bridge breaks and we're back in the waterway again. And we're fighting hungry fish. Next thing you know, we go on shore and we meet a baby in a hollow, which lets me meet the cast, which I end up seeking the cast strap or the rainbow strap. And we didn't know if it was the one that everyone was talking about. After that, we also meet up with Red Butler, which was already locked up in the same hollow we were in. We also met with Canary Yellow, who was binded up in trees, watched over by a two-headed lindworm. Also, during all that time, we also had to save Patio Green, who was stuck in a tree, in a nest in a tree, by some ugly-looking bird. After all of that was done, we like to think we ended up getting to the cast stronghold, where we also happened to free Shy Violet, who had been locked up and had all of these fake fiends and shit blown in her lair. Like someone who's going through the old block site toll. After that, Murky, Dismal, and Murky seeked the other kids. But after we threw Starhurst down to get them away from that, we also saved Indigo, which I guess is a kind of blue or whatever. And we also helped Buddy Blue. And we also end up, So after all of that was done, then led me to my fighting with the King of Shadows, who had taken the baby, who bought that Lurky had taken, that Murkwell had kidnapped, and their goal was, if they wanted the baby back, give us the cast strap, and that didn't quite work. Then the King of Shadows took the baby too, who shifted out to be the Sword of Light that God told me I had to look for. And God and Jesus working through me and with me, who God took the likeness of the baby to begin with, who was the Sword of Light, who ended up beating the King of Shadows. And after that, then God says, you will now be entrusted with the world's cast and light and brightness. You'll be known as Rainbow Brite. And you will have, sometimes you'll have to fight those who wish to take away the light. And I said, I will. And God said, I know you will. I said, I will. And ever since that day, I worked for, why am I getting all sad now? And ever since that day, I worked for God Almighty and Jesus the Son, bringing cast and light and brightness. But it was truly God and Jesus that were doing it. They were just working through me and with me to do it, and I was doing it in their behalf. And it's God who gets the thanks. It's Jesus who gets the thanks, you know. So I've been doing that for about 40 years, soon to be 41 years. But then some folks would say, well, how could you be doing that for at least 40 or 41 years? Because there are going to be some folks that will bring up that the cast kids or the cast workers formerly worked for someone else before the King of Shadows came, ended up overthrowing or beating whoever was before me. Well, God and Jesus never told me who it was, who was doing it before me. So your guess is good as mine. And they said when they were fighting the fiend Murkwell, that it was like 7 between years ago, the last time it struck Rainbow Land. And I said, yeah. So a lot of folks believe you gotta be doing it longer than 40 years or 41 years. But I've been working for God and Jesus for about 40 or 41 years, whatever. And I had to deal with all kinds of things, Mostly I had to deal with Murky Dismal coming up with every sneaky way of taking cast out. Taking a cast strap, flying in a wind and a hot wind bag, to cover the earth with gloom, kidnapping Moonglow. Hell, kidnapping the cast kids once, putting me in a can, sending the fiend Murkwell to go at the Rainbow Land after he got running lead over him. Oh boy, or other times, we had a friend named Wicca who was an outsider from another world whose starship crashed in Rainbow Land. But he ate cast. He didn't mean to, and Murkwell ended up wanting to stop him from getting home. Oh, let's not forget about the little stunt they pulled about taking Rainbowhurst and making it into Gloomhurst to make rain come out of it. So I've been dealing with him for like many years, making a tool Rainbow Brite to lie to everyone. That was another one. Working with the Dark Elderling, so she could get stones to shift everyone into stones, huh? And there was always something. Don't forget about the time how we captured Starlight and Onyx and made them work his blower to put gloom over everything. And that wasn't after So there was always something. So I had to deal with that for about 40 or 41 years. And I know there was more things that, that had happened, So, let's not forget about how he worked with some warlock by the name of Scroll to send a stone to Rainbow Land just to take out the cast hollows. But it fucked up and it was going to hit the whole world. Or the other time that we ended up, So I've been dealing with Murky Dismal for about, 40 years too. And out of those 40 or 41 years, I was working for God and Jesus and still working for God and Jesus to this day. Still overseeing the cast and light and brightness of all worlds. Well, that's end for my little grounds about everything I had to go through working for God and Jesus, how I became Rainbow Brite, how I beat the King of Shadows, my dealings with Murky, Dismal, and Lurky over all those years, and how I still work for God and Jesus 40 or 41 years later. Give this film a like, share and playlist it, and have a rainbow day.